streets safe and taxes stable. They have had a strong talking point regarding that you are vote for the Roque team is a vote for corruption and it's a vote for failed leadership. So what do you think about that approach?
I can tell you it's not working for them, for sure. I can tell you that they were part of our team for 4 years. The fact that they decided to splinter away from our team, I could understand that. But I could tell you, John, 8 years ago, and I don't know if you remember when I started, because I remember you, a young man, coming into my office and introducing yourself to me.
How could I forget? That was a great day.
Oh, yeah. But I could tell you the cries of the people losing their properties because of such increased high taxes. And I'm going to tell you, at that time, the mayor was blaming the prior administration, which is Albio Sirius' administration. They basically said he handed us a hot potato. That's what people were saying. And then South Vegas people were blaming it on Albio and vice versa. Look, at that time, I was the commander of a hospital in Virginia, 4215 Combat Support Hospital. I was a colonel in the Army, and I had to take charge. And people needed to know that I was going to be there to help them, and I enjoy. That's been my whole life, try to give service to the community before the politics. I've been involved in earthquake of Colombia. I've been in different scenarios where there is a need for me to help, and I took charge of the situation. And again, I'm not blaming neither of them, because reality, this is not about blame. But I can tell you that we have stabilized the taxes for the last 8 years. We have been dropping the crime steadily by adding more police officers. And the streets, you see 80 to 90% of my streets are brand new, repaved. We've done all the parks, public parks. All of them have been repaved. So we're doing great things. And instead of knocking me, I wish they could say, look, let's work together, because the goal here is not about me. It's about the taxpayers and making sure that they're taken care of.
Very good, Mayor. So now our viewers are going to see on the screen one of the mailers you did. And I think this was about a week ago that it hit. And it was the one where you talked about all the public salaries of your opponents. And I believe that totaled over $500,000. I didn't calculate it, but I did take a quick glance, of course, before we went on today. Yeah. Why did you think that was important for the voters of West New York to see before Election Day?
Look, again, public service means out of our own free will and out of our own heart, we try to help the community. This is not a for-profit business that we get into. So when people join politics, they shouldn't be joining because they want to make money. And that's the reality. I lose money by doing this, but I get self-fulfillment by helping others in the community. So the fact that all of them, and I'm not going to say just them, because I did another review, and we're talking almost $1.5 million. That's a lot of money. And I'm talking other families are leashing on into this political world to just make money, and that shouldn't be what we join politics. We should join politics the same way a doctor gets involved in a profession, the same way a priest gets involved in a profession, to help others, not to just live at the expense of other people who work.
Point taken. So, Mayor, another thing that we've talked about extensively, both on camera and off, is something that has a special place in Hudson County politics, and that's campaign signs and literature. And if we go to the tape, there was a clip released by the other team that said members of the parking authority were tearing down signs. And then maybe 2 days after that, you guys posted a couple clips of Angel Alfonso, who our viewers know well, from the DPW tearing down some of your signs in a establishment. It looked like it might be a laundromat. It wasn't totally clear, but whatever it was, this is a hot button issue between you guys, and this has been something in Hudson County that's been going on for many years, probably before both of us were born. So why do you think this is so important to keep bringing to the forefront?
Well, let me first say the signs do not win election. Job performed, your track record is what actually wins the elections, and that's what people remember, your track record. I did reach out to the parking authority. I had the pleasure of speaking to Mrs. Perez, the director, and at that time I showed her the video, and she did confirm that they had placed signs on property that belonged to the parking authority. So did they do the right thing? Absolutely. We have to respect the laws, and it cannot be mayhem right now, so we're trying to respect the law. As far as Mr. Alfonso, I could tell you only good things about the gentleman. Cuban patriot, and he's a hard worker as far as I knew, because I was always there with him. But the fact that he's knocking signs down and doing things that he's not supposed to be doing, including 2 days ago at the dry cleaner. What he basically did, he went in, and you saw the clip. He basically said, I'm here and I'm taking your sign down whether you like it or not, and I'm going to do it. And it's on video, it's on audio, so you see that. And so this morning I went to the laundry, the dry cleaner place, and I apologized to the owner, because that's very disrespectful when a public servant, again, he is a worker for this town, goes in and intimidates the owner of a shop. And the way he felt threatened, that's what he told me. He said, I'm going to file a police report. And I said, listen, maybe we could talk about this. And I am going back again today, because I don't want no harm done to Mr. Alfonso. Look, he dedicated many years of service to this town. The last thing I want him to do is get hurt, because that's not my goal.
So I hear, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I hear that he's also on disability and therefore should not be part of the campaign. Is this what you're hearing?
That's what I heard also. He's personally on disability, and one of the regulations state that if you're on disability, you're supposed to be staying at home. So the fact that he's not doing that, it's going to cause him a problem. So I highly recommend for him to get an attorney, because he will get in trouble, and that's not our goal, John. My goal is not to punish. My goal is to try to rehabilitate people, and hopefully down the road I can sit down with him after we win in May 14 and talk to him. Maybe he could, knock some sense into him.
So if that is the case, I mean, look, I'm with you that whether we're talking about column A, column B, C, D, or E, that anybody on disability shouldn't be participating in campaigns. But isn't his boss, Silvio Acosta, isn't he on disability and working your campaign? Is it Manny Diaz on disability and also working your campaign?
I can tell you that Manny Diaz is not on disability. Manny Diaz is under some work-related state work. He could explain that to you. But I could tell you that at no time would Mr. Diaz break the law, and I would never allow that to happen. But I could tell you that Mr. Alfonso, he seems like he's breaking the law. And so do I want to punish him? Not at all. I would need for him to stop doing what he's doing. He's taking this too much at heart. He's that old Cuban fighter that he thinks there's a revolution going on in West New York.
And kind of is.
Kind of it is, yeah, but it shouldn't be. This is just fun and games, and the idea is, may the best person win. That's how I take this.
Gotcha. So, Mayor, look, it's been a long, exciting, exhausting, but fun 8 years, in my opinion. I think you would agree with me. I think you're the only one having more fun than me this election cycle.
I'm enjoying this a lot. It's fun.
I can see it.
You know why it's fun? Because I'm able to do things, and I have accomplished a lot of things during the last 8 years.
Well, glad you said that. I was going to ask you, what do you think is your biggest accomplishment, and what do you think is your biggest shortcoming or failure or regret in these 8 years?
The accomplishment is simple. I made a promise, and like I said, promises made and promises kept. My promise was to stabilize the taxes, and I did that for the last 8 years. I've been knocking on doors, and people come to me and say, wow, thank you. You saved me from losing my house. And so that's my biggest thing that we've done. And I say that because we have done it together. And I always gave credit to the other commissioners because we work in conjunction. So it's just not about me. It's all about working as a team, and that's what we've done. So my failure, look, I wanted to do a military school. As you know, I went to a private military academy, and I went to the military academy also for college. But I wanted to do a military school here at West New York because I see that our young men and boys and girls out there, they need a little more discipline. And it's not the parents' fault.
Understood.
Yeah.
Mayor, we've hit our time. We appreciate having you. Real quick, remember 2 months ago you gave your number out when I asked you about Joe Ferriero and you told him to give you a call because he sounded like an intelligent guy. Did he ever call you?
No, not at all. But I could tell you after the elections, I would love to reach out to him and tap his brain. I read some good things about him, and I would love to get to meet him.
All right, so we're where we were 2 months ago. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you
Best
so
of
much.
luck. We'll obviously be talking.
I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning in. A fun-filled interview with Felix Roque. If I say so myself, we're going to take a quick word with our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Jersey City Medical
Yes.
Center, Hudson County's #1
Yes.
World Report. Hudson County's only hospital to receive an A safety score rating. Jersey City Medical Center is Hudson County's only hospital to receive the prestigious Magnet Award for Nursing Excellence. Make the #1 hospital in Hudson County your first choice for quality health care. Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the web at libertyhealth.org. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hey, we're still here, Hudson County View, live and uncut, John Arhitis. So we just had Mayor Felix Roque on for about 12 minutes, and now we're going to switch gears and go over to West Hudson. We're going to talk a little bit about the Keegan landfill, and there was a protest organized by both officials and residents alike, and that was Saturday afternoon, and we heard chants, "Where is Murphy? Where is Murphy? Where is Murphy?" in response to the Democratic governor, because they've called on him to shut this landfill down, and that call has fallen on deaf ears up to this point. So there was a lot of fired up people there, including the mayor, and they had signs that said "Save the Earth," "Stop the dumping." Every time a truck came in and out, people were booing, giving the thumbs down. It was very, very emotional. A lot of people were really energetic, and it was a sight to see. We don't get a lot of big stories out of West Hudson, which includes Kearney, of course, but I think this is a big one. And Al Santos did not mince words. He was very adamant that he wants Governor Murphy to step up to the plate and do this, and make something happen. So Santos stood with the rest of his constituency, and he was one of many decked out with a fluorescent yellow vest, and he was touting a white and blue megaphone, and he couldn't have been any more clear when he called on the governor to take action and do something about this. So we're going to take a look at the clip.
There is one person with a single signature that can shut this down immediately. Call him out, Mayor. And that's the governor. Yeah. So this goes directly to the governor. Mr. Murphy, shut down this landfill! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! That's an 80-foot mountain of garbage. That is his legacy. Is that what he wants to be known? Is that what he wants? A mountain garbage to be his legacy.
25 million.
So Governor Murphy, 25 million a year, 250 million plus. Governor Murphy, don't make money from garbage. Protect our environment. Shut it down.
Our community has never been more united since I've been mayor on any issue. This goes to our health. This is not just quality of life anymore. This is about our public health. It's why we have young children like this who joined us in this march. It's why we have senior citizens who joined us. It's why we had neighboring communities that joined us. It's about our health.
And Mayor, you made it a point to call out Governor Murphy, and that doesn't happen too often these days, especially from other Democratic officials. So why did you think it was important that he got the message today?
Because I don't think he's getting the true story from the people that work with him. I don't think his staff, the Sports and Exposition Authority, none of them are telling them what's going on. What's going on here is regular reads of hydrogen sulfide that exceed 30 parts per billion, and that has health effects. That's affecting our health. So the state is poisoning us, and the governor has to shut it down. So I'm hoping that this protest, he will listen to us and not to the state officials who are misinforming him.
And finally, this week, I know that the town has filed a lawsuit against the Sports and Expo Authority and the NJDEP. Just what do you hope to accomplish there?
Well, the truth, because the lawsuit asks for has several causes of action. We asked for the hydrogen sulfide truth, and they've been covering up. They've gotten high reads and they've covered it up. We've asked for the truth on the money. They make $25 million a year. So they've generated over $250 million since they reopened this landfill. Where did all that money go?
As you heard, the mayor says the landfill makes the state $25 million a year. And as they've done for the past 2 months, officials and residents plan on attending the May 18th meeting of the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. The NJSEA is the agency that oversees the 110-acre dumping ground. Spokesman from the Phil Murphy administration did not return emails seeking comment. So we're going to take another break, and then we're going to be back with myself and my colleague Mark Bucinich. Just hang tight for a few.
This award-winning life-saving ambulance service is also your help. With health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center, here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us.
Set it now, yeah, 5:30.
The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on
20
site.
seconds.
Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last
7,
for all eternity.
6.
Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
All right, so we're back, Hudson County View, live and uncut. John Arhitis, and now, as always, I'm joined with my man, Mark Bucinich. Mark, thanks for being back.
Thanks again, John.
So, Mark, obviously, it's been a really busy week. I mean, not that there's any slow weeks around Hudson County, but it's been busier than usual, in my opinion. And I know one thing that you were able to attend on Monday was this, some are calling a landmark announcement by the Jersey City Board of Education. You know, they've been shortchanged a lot by the state as far as school funding goes, and they have a $120 million gap in their budget, so they had a lot on their plate for the past few decades, and now they filed suit against the state. So tell us a little bit about that presser and who was there and what was said, and give us the particulars.
Sure, John. Thanks again. Yeah, well, obviously the district had been under state control for nearly 30 years, and they just returned. Jersey City Public School District just were able to regain local control last year. So about a year after they regained local control, they're now filing a lawsuit against the state, claiming that the state education cuts that would be directed towards the Jersey City Board of Education would devastate the board and the school district.
They also said it's unconstitutional, correct?
They did, indeed they did. The lead attorney representing the Jersey City Board of Education said that, as well as the president of the board, Sudan Thomas. And there were a lot of union leaders there in attendance. Many members from the Jersey City Board of Education was there. The Jersey City Education President, Ron Greco, was there.
Yep.
And according to the lead attorney, Mr. Genova, said, we asked him a couple questions during the press conference as far as what the total amount of cuts will be should they not be reversed. And he said, well, immediately it would be $27 million just for this upcoming school year. Then the next 6 years, it would be $209 million. And then if you look at going back all the way to 2009 when the district was still under state control, but legislation passed called the School Funding Reform Act, he said if you aggregate those cuts, it comes out to a total compound accumulated education cut of $795 million.
So obviously that's a pretty hefty chunk of change. Now this is unprecedented, right? Nobody's ever done this before, based on what they said at the press conference?
No, they said it's an action that is unprecedented. And because of these unprecedented cuts that might be happening, of course, they made the announcement that over 400 instructional teachers, aides, may be laid off. And so we asked the attorney again, Mr. Genova, that given, that the lawsuit was just filed on Monday and it may take some time for the lawsuit to move through the courts, and obviously the new school year begins in 5 months, can they hope to get a decision that would forestall those over 400 cuts? And he explained, well, they are hoping to hear from a judge within the month, notwithstanding some procedural issues that might delay it beyond the month.
All right, so obviously, again, $795 million is no joke. I mean, that's way more than their current budget, which the preliminary number was $609 million. I'm going to guess that's going to change slightly, but this is going to be interesting because, again, it's going to have implications maybe not just throughout the state, but potentially throughout the country, because if they're able to do this, then you might see school districts, maybe like a Newark, like a Camden. I'm just using that as some, examples close to home. So I don't know. I mean, you've obviously saw and read a lot more about this than I did. So what do you think about where this is going to go? I mean, obviously we're just making an educated guess, but what do you think?
Well, good question, John. It's interesting that with the district being under school state control, it is for 30 years. You have to question, why is the district at this point? I mean, it would seem that they would have had the resources that they would need from the state being under control for nearly 30 years. And there's no doubt that other districts who may be short on funds, they will be eagerly watching to see how this will eventually play out in the courts, and if Jersey City Board of Education is successful and does and is able in the courts to reverse those devastating education cuts.
Now, the other side of the coin, which we don't hear a lot, but I mean, I know Trustee Matt Shapiro has said it, and I know a lot of people have said it behind the scenes, that Jersey City, the city actually, the municipal government, hasn't done their fair share in funding the schools. Do you sense that that's going to come into play here?
Well, they said that they want to be able to increase the local school tax levy, which I believe up until prior to last year, prior to this school year, rather, I think it was only 2%, but they said they want to be able to increase that to 10% starting in the new school year. Of course, regarding why the district is short on money, you just mentioned Board of Education trustee Matt Shapiro, who has claimed that the money, that the reason why the BOE is facing this shortage is because the state wasn't contributing the funds, whereas the opponents of the former...
We said the city.
The city, rather, I'm sorry. And whereas the opponents of the former superintendent, Dr. Marshall Lyles, said that too much money was being used to hire numerous consultants.
Very good, Mark. Guys, we're going to just take one final break before we come back and talk a little BioSquare City for you. Sit tight. See you in a moment.
Less than a minute 35 left of broadcast.
That's it?
Yeah.
I'm talking. Well, it's a small city.
All right, so we're not going to use the clip, and we're not going to talk about the green. We're just going to talk Ravi and Annette.
And Annette, got it.
Yeah.
So we're going to basically come back with a minute. Or actually, no. Just a minute because broadcast time and credits.
Okay.
A minute.
I never had to get it down in Tom's River. Me and this timer in Tom's River go at it all the time.
And we're coming back in 5,
Got a minute,
4,
John.
3, 2, 1.
So, Mark, we're real short on time, unfortunately. I apologize, but
No worries.
so yeah, listen. The main thing at Hoboken this week was two things. They got an environmental award from the U.S. I believe it was Green Council, Green Building Council.
U.S. Green Building Council, yes.
So the other thing that has the politicos interested was there was some controversy, some talk about a rift between Mayor Ravi Bala and Assemblywoman Annette Chaparro. There was an allegation made that Bala tried to replace her with a non-Latina candidate, but you actually got to speak with him, and how did that go?
Yeah, I did, and it's interesting that the Assemblywoman was there. But we did have a chance to interview Mayor Ravi Bala one-on-one to ask him about this published report that he maneuvered and tried to remove her from the Democratic ticket for the primary in June. And his response was he just seemed to outright deny it by saying that he supports her 100% and that he considers her a very dear friend. And that his explanation as far as why there was this report that he was looking to maybe remove her from the
We're talking about running with Councilman, running against Councilman DeFusco. Unfortunately, we got to stop you there. I apologize, Mark. Apologize, guys, but we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us again on Hudson County View Live and Uncut. We appreciate you. We will see you next week.
Take care.